Omar, how are you?
Hey, doing good. I'm taking delivery of a Cybertruck on Friday.
Oh, congratulations. Are you excited?
Yeah, I'm pumped.
What have you done for the delivery so far? Are you getting ready? Do you have any accessories that you've secured?
Well, the Foundation series comes with a bunch of the accessories included, so pretty much most of the accessories will come with it. I'm not sure if that's with the delivery or after or whatever, but yeah, it should have everything FSD, so I'll let you know what it's like.
So you have FSD on it, but there's no FSD software on the Cybertruck yet, just yet, right?
Right, yeah. But it
Got it.
has the FSD package paid for.
How is V12 doing for you?
I haven't been driving it too much, honestly, because it's been kind of annoying. It's been kind of driving like a grandma, but it's doing pretty well. Yesterday, I couldn't make this space because my dad and I were driving around checking out some houses, and it drove us about 70 minutes through Los Angeles city streets, highways, some pretty tough scenarios, lots of traffic with zero takeovers. There were, I think, a couple of accelerator presses, one at the beginning where the light turned green and it didn't go. But that was about it. So overall, pretty impressive results. And the hesitation and cautiousness I'm seeing some of the accelerator presses, I figured that's just them being sort of cautious with this wide release of FSD Beta 12. The first build that they sent just to me and a few other people was much more, it was just perfect. It didn't drive like a grandma. At times it was a little bit too assertive, but it just drove extremely smoothly. So I think maybe they had to dial up the cautiousness a little bit because they said, okay, well, there are actually some issues here. We need to be a little more careful, have a higher margin of safety. But presumably, what I'm hoping is that as they feel more confident in it, as they fix more of the issues, they can then dial back that margin of safety and sort of restore that behavior I was seeing before. So overall, I'm pretty happy with it, but would love to see it sort of hesitate less and drive less like a grandma.
You mentioned yesterday's space. The recording of yesterday's space just got published. Highly recommend people watch that last one, which would be episode 25. We had a really good discussion yesterday on Nvidia FSD V12 rollout, and Wes just did a great job answering a bunch of questions and explaining, dumbing things down for us. So I recommend people watch episode 25 that just got published. So we also had yesterday, we also had about Tesla give us an update on the V12 rollout. The rollout seems to have been paused. The percentage of the fleet that has FSD V12 is about 0.3%, said about Tesla. And about Tesla said that maybe the team has seen enough issues to start working on those for the next update before the next phase of the rollout. Maybe another dot update. Is that your take as well, Omar?
Yeah, I think Elon said at one point, in response to someone, 12.3 is fixing these issues. So that suggests that there's already a new build on the way. It's probably in the QA phases at this point. So they're probably like, all right, why roll out this to people if we know it's got some issues? We'll just roll out 12.3. So, I mean, this is pretty normal when they roll it out. Anytime there's a new version going out, people are like, it's paused, but it kind of comes in different waves, right? So they release it out to some people, they have a target for how many people they want to release it to, then they wait. And then they say, okay, let's roll this out more, or okay, let's roll the next version out. And there's usually a few point releases. Historically, it's always taken for the point 3 to really get out to everybody. It's always taken them at least 3 point releases. So if you remember, like 10.3, 11.3 was the first one that everybody really got. And it seems like it's going to be a similar thing here with maybe the 12.3 or the 12.4 being the one that really goes out to everybody within the next month or so.
Yeah, that was his guess as well, depending on the difficulty and the tweaks that need to be made for these, whatever issue they found. it might be either this weekend, or if it's more difficult, if they have to collect more training data and tweak something in the model, it might be another month or two. Does that sound about right? Maybe a few weeks is the central tendency, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I think probably before the end of the quarter, everybody's going to have it. So we're probably less than a month away from everyone having it. I think by the time we get onto the earnings call, they're going to be able to say, we released FSD 12 to everybody, just like we said we would on the last call.
Yeah. Now, on March 1, which is tomorrow, is it tomorrow? Hold on, Friday. Friday, Tesla said that it would raise prices after cutting Model Y prices by about $1,000. Um, since then, I think the new Model 3 prices were increased twice by a few $100 each. Do you expect Model Y prices to go up $1,000 or more on Friday for this weekend?
Yeah, I do. I mean, that's what they said they would do, right?
Yeah. And do you think that's based on just seasonality alone? Or are they expecting maybe in conjunction with V12 a rise in orders or some other event that will lead to rise in orders?
Well, Elon's explanation was just sort of that most people don't buy a car in the middle of the winter because it's cold, especially on the East Coast. It's frozen. You don't want to like even get out of your house and get dressed and have to stand outside and deal with the car, right? So there's seasonality. Q1 always has weaker auto sales, right? That's why they use, like, for example, the SAR, seasonally adjusted, auto rate for sales and that kind of thing that accounts for the seasonality. But I mean, they are, I think, just playing a little bit with psychology, right? So, okay, the price keeps coming down. What's the rush to buy today? If I wait another month, maybe it'll be even lower, right? That's the psychology that takes hold. So I think they're kind of trying to play with some promotions. They're saying, okay, well, $1,000 off if you order before March 1st. So now it's, oh, okay, I actually need to order quick to save $1,000, which, $1,000 is a lot of money. Small part of a car, but it's $1,000 at the end of the day. More if you're financing it. So I think they're kind of just playing with different promotions and stuff, seeing what works. I think they probably were looking at their numbers with the Model 3 not producing as much in North America, and the Model Y being Osborne a little bit. They're probably looking at it and saying, okay, we need to really sort of push. I mean, they've got really high expectations. Um, it's seasonally weak, so it would be not surprising to see deliveries dip a little bit from Q4 to Q1. But I think the market really wants to see sequential growth. In prior years, Tesla has been able to deliver sequential growth despite the seasonality. Now, rates were lower in those times and so on and so forth, but I think the market really would like to see that. And that's a very high bar to set because Q4 deliveries were pretty high. So, can they deliver 500,000 cars this quarter with Model 3 uh, ramping up in Fremont, and then Model Y where it is, with people kind of looking for a new Y? It's a tough ask. So I think that's kind of why they're playing with promotions in the middle of the quarter, and I'm sure they got some good data on how people respond. I mean, I know for me, I got at least 3 people I know bought a Model 3 during this period. I mean, a Model Y.
The prices are amazing. I mean, low prices combined with record incentives right now on so many fronts. And hard to pass up on a Model 3 or Model Y order right now. W-
Yeah.
We have a question for you in live chat. Gu asks, "Hey Omar, your grandmother make a comment on FSD. Did you give your grandma a ride on FSD?"
No, but if my grandma could drive, then it would probably be similar to how FSD 12 drives. I'm
All right.
exaggerating a little bit. It's just, you're sitting in this car and it's driving below the speed limit. And you're like, huh? What is going on? This thing is in assertive mode. It's supposed to be going quickly.
Yeah. Well, let's switch gears to Cybertruck for a second. Car dealership guy just posted the first pre-owned Tesla Cybertruck has sold at auction. The price? Omar, did you see this post? Don't look. You want to
Yeah.
guess? Oh, you saw it?
Yeah.
$244,000. Interesting. So this is just a dealership buying it. It is not even a resale. This is the wholesale value. So they're going to price this in. I mean, well, I guess we'll see what it sells at. But the production at Giga Texas seems to be ramping. So I don't know. How do you think this is going to go? Do you think this guy's going to make money on buying a Cybertruck at $244,000?
Um, I assumed the dealer is probably buying it just to bring people into the dealership. They see these boring Porsches and they're like, who cares? I got somewhere to go. Now you see a Cybertruck outside the Porsche dealership, you go, oh shit, what the hell is that? I got to stop in there and check this out.
Yeah. See a Cybertruck at the parking lot. Let me go buy a Mustang. Yeah, I don't know. $250,000. That's amazing. It's been
Yeah,
what,
pretty
five
insane.
months? It's been 5 months since the first deliveries, right? Yeah, November, December, January, February, and we're going into March, 4 months.
Yeah, it definitely reflects the crazy demand for this thing.
Oh, there's a reply to car dealership guy from Marcus. It says, will be very interesting to see if Tesla really pursues legal action for violating the resale agreement. Do you think they will?
Mm, probably not.
But then why even have the clause?
I mean, I think it's really just for kind of egregious stuff. If somebody's just like broke and needs to sell it, or maybe this guy wanted it at the Peterson auction or whatever. Like, we don't really know what the story is. Maybe it's a Tesla employee and it's authorized. Um, who the hell knows? But I mean, we'll find out. If they sue them, then it'll be a public document.
Yeah. Any questions for Omar on FSD V12 or Cybertruck? Please request to speak. Omar, the other day I asked you and Meta, and I asked if FSD progress is limited by Nvidia production, and both of you said no. But I'm not 100% clear on the reason. Can you explain that for us again, please?
Why is it not limited by Nvidia production?
Yeah, like
Well,
if Tesla had twice as many H100s today, would that accelerate FSD development?
yeah, I mean, more compute is generally good. They're trying to add compute as fast as they can, definitely. But Nvidia is obviously just one chip maker, right? So AMD, Tesla's making their own Dojo supercomputer. So I would say they're maybe generally constrained by the supply of chips in general. Really, TSMC's output is what they're constrained by. But if Nvidia, for example, didn't like them and wouldn't want to sell chips to them, then yeah, it would probably, hamper them a lot actually, but they still have other ways to train their models, whether it's AMD GPUs or their own chips or whatever.
Gotcha. Well, we have a very important speaker on the board. Mark, go ahead.
Yeah, just a question, I guess, regarding FSD and Cybertruck. When do you expect FSD on the Cybertruck to be enabled? Would it be this quarter, or do you have maybe a specific month, you think?
I mean, I don't know. I'm not on the team. Obviously, they're working on getting it onto the Cybertruck. I haven't heard anything that would give me any indication of when that would happen, but I'm not particularly worried about it. I think people are freaking out a little bit too much about the lack of autopilot or FSD. Like all new models need to be validated, right? So you need to sell a bunch of them and get them out there. And then you run the models in shadow mode and you ensure that it's not like accidentally trying to crash into a wall or something like that. Then only at that point do you turn it on. So, for example, the new Model 3 doesn't have FSD yet. Does that mean FSD isn't going to work on it or it's never going to have it? I mean, probably as soon as I get mine, I'm going to be complaining too about how it doesn't have autopilot. But I'm sure they're working on shipping that software update as soon as they safely can.
Machine, welcome back. Did your wife allow you to download X again?
I still don't have X on my phone. This is just on my laptop. I don't know if the sound quality is acceptable.
It's great. You know, that's going to be new though. I think the web browser didn't allow speakers before.
Yeah, I think that was enabled like a month ago or something.
Do you guys think we should do a video? I kind of like the audio only version of this space.
No, I think it would be borderline abuse to the audience to have to look at Omar and you. And as for me, I think it would be acceptable to the audience, except I'm always like eating, and that's just, no one wants to watch anyone eat. So I just see there's no upside. It's all downside.
Yeah, I don't want speakers worrying about how they look like on camera or worrying about camera position or whatever. I just want people to be able to free to come up and everything. But every now and then we can do video, you know. Anyway, what did you
Uh,
come up to say?
last time I was on video, you know, these YouTubers start using my name, and then other Tesla related influencers are using my name in their videos. I'm like, okay, this is getting out of hand. And then I had to shut down my account. So this time maybe I need to wear a mask or something. Um, what I was going to say, well, first was just on the question of
What
compute.
kind of mask would you wear?
Um, Michael Myers, Halloween classic. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie, the classic horror film.
Hmm. Yeah,
Have you
we
seen
should
it?
do that. We should do like a Halloween themed in November. Michael
No,
who?
October. Michael Myers.
Michael Myers.
You've never seen the movie Halloween?
I'm not as old as you.
It's it's a family kid friendly movie
Oh, I
about,
see.
yeah, it's about kids celebrating Halloween with a babysitter and
Hmm.
watching some movies, and I think that's about it. Obviously, Tesla's compute limited in the sense that um, it takes longer to turn around these models and train them than it would if they had more compute. And that's an obvious statement, but the reason that's significant is that they're not in a position where it's just hit the train button and go walk away and come back and you have the final solution and deploy it and everyone's happy. No, they're still in a situation where they train it. They got to go look at the result and say, where is this? Where are the errors showing up now? Let's go collate a new training data set. We need to add more of these test conditions because it's failing there. There's still all this engineering resource, which is what I've said for over a year. And other known speakers in this space will say poo-poo that whole engineering effort. And I think it's still applicable right now. And so, anyways, the turnaround time of getting those models out and getting the information is highly important. Instead of waiting a week or 2 weeks, if you could do it in a day, and then the next day you're assessing what you need to do for the next run, that's going to up your ROI, your productivity in line with the amount of compute you have. So I still believe their productivity is proportional to the amount of compute and the time it takes to get these models out, whatever is V12.3 or .67, whatever those end up being, they would be here earlier if they had more compute.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I think if you had, double the compute, you could probably train the model twice as fast. You could then go and, train the model, get the result faster. The whole cycle improves faster. So I think that's really why Elon is saying we're primarily compute constrained more than engineering constrained. Although there is obviously some sort of engineering that happens, but it could just be as simple as, okay, we need more footage of stop signs in the rain. Let's go query, footage of that. Let's curate it. Let's put it in the training set, and then let's train again, and then let's check the result and see what comes out. But yeah, if that, the bulk of it is really just waiting for that model to converge. So it would definitely, that's why it's really critical to just scale compute as much as possible. But NVIDIA's part of that solution. They also have AMD they're adding in. They also have Dojo that they're using. So NVIDIA is probably the most important part of that compute equation today, but it's not the only way to get that training compute.
Omar, let me ask you a question that I asked Wes yesterday. And the question was, so Microsoft and Amazon and others are trying to build custom ASICs that replaces or at least reduces their dependence on Nvidia. What's the probability that Microsoft and Amazon will be able to build custom ASICs that, let's say, replaces or that allows them to run 80-90% of their training needs in-house on in-house built chips?
80%.
Machine?
Sorry, I missed that. What was the question?
Yes, I asked Wes, what is the probability of Microsoft and Amazon succeeding in reducing their dependence on NVIDIA's chips with their custom ASICs? And let's define success as running 80-90% of their training compute on in-house built ASICs.
In the 3 to 5 years, that
Right.
20%. To get to that high, I don't think necessarily it's going to happen that quickly to scale up production to then not only overcome the NVIDIA chips that they currently have, but then to produce enough to make their chips 90% of their total compute capacity. Just seems like something that may take longer, but I'm not paying attention specifically to their current plans and developments for when they expect that to actually start production coming up in scale. But I just think those things end up being harder than you imagine. And then just the math of getting up to make it 90% is not something that just happens in 1 year. So I would say it's lower probability.
Interesting. So I think this is the crux of the whole NVIDIA discussion. You all three are extremely knowledgeable, obviously, about the company and the industry. And all three of you gave very different answers to that question. Machine said, I mean, let's define success as 80%. Okay. And we're talking 5 years out. And Microsoft already has a chip out. So um, Machine said 20%. Wes said 50-60%. Omar said 80% probability. Those are very different. And whichever plays out is going to be day and night for NVIDIA's intrinsic value.
Um, I think part of that is not saying that's not necessarily being bullish on Nvidia. That doesn't mean I'm saying they have to buy more and more from Nvidia. It just might mean they could literally slow down their Nvidia purchases and rely more on their own, but it would still mathematically take them time to scale that up and overtake their current Nvidia compute. So I don't know if when you said 80%, if you mean 80% total compute or 80% of their yearly purchase of compute, right? You know, one's the derivative of the other curve. So, and that's part of my equation. It's not necessarily being bullish on Nvidia. It's just thinking about their production constraints.
Yeah, I agree with Machine that, saying they'll be able to move to 90% in 1 year is not necessarily a sure thing. But Google says they're doing 90% of their training on TPUs. So why can't Microsoft or other companies do it? It's been proven that it can be done.
So I asked that question to Wes yesterday, and his answer was Google bet the company on creating TPUs and on that goal, whereas he doesn't see Microsoft doing the same at this time. They're not betting the company.
At
They
this
don't.
moment, it's a bet the company thing for every tech company because, if you're at a disadvantage in AI, you're toast, basically. So it's become the number one priority for all of these companies.
Do you see the same urgency on Amazon?
Maybe less so for Amazon.
So does that mean they're more likely to be toast among the companies that we just mentioned?
I don't know. Possibly. They don't seem to be doing anything all that innovative lately, from my perspective.
Yeah.
I just want to say something about yesterday. I was listening on the YouTube. That was some of the most informative information that I've listened to from Wes yesterday on this space. I don't know what else to say. It was really interesting to listen to him talk about that and his experiences. It was certainly more interesting than anything you or Omar have ever said.
I don't disagree, honestly. Yesterday's space was really, really information dense. And I just spent all day trying to cut out, let's say, 1/3 of the 2 hours that we spent in here, 2.5 hours. And I just published it on YouTube. I recommend people watch the video. And the stuff I was cutting out was also very valuable, but I wanted to bring it down. And so it just kind of goes to show the stuff I left in, mostly from Wes, is just incredibly information packed and valuable.
Yeah, it's basically the opposite of me, and that's what happens. I wasn't there yesterday, so you were able to get an information dense spaces, which is what you've always hoped for. So, congrats to you.
No, I think that's not true. I mean, you add a lot of value too. Maybe not as much as Wes, Omar, and Meta about Tesla. Who am I forgetting? Jimmy. Let's see.
Jim.
Sawyer, David Katz, Yutzi, Larry Goldberg. Did I say Omar? Anyway, but still, you
Jimmy the
add,
Otter.
yeah, Jimmy the Otter. But you still add a lot of value. And I think what's happening is the group is getting better and better in kind of like, working with one another, and kind of these rules becoming second nature. Like we're not even raising our hands most of the time, which, just allows the conversation flow better. And we also like understand how each one of us needs, want to be communicated with, etc. So I think we're just getting used to each other, and the space is getting better because of it.
You may be surprised to learn that when I was younger, I used to get my name written on the board at school all the time because I wouldn't stop talking. I would shut up in class, disrupting other students. So, I've really improved in the last, well, 37 years, 38 years since I started school. But I want to bring up a separate point here, actually Tesla related, which I haven't done in the last month or so. It's good to review these things, not too often. I pull up my favorite and your favorite only when it shows you what you want to hear. the used
No,
car
no, no,
gurus
that's not true.
index.
The reason why I stopped talking about it is that I'm realizing that no one except you and me cares about this data.
Yeah. Well, let's just spend a few brief moments on it.
Yeah.
Used car guru index for Tesla. Uh, since January now, we add February to it. It continues its steeper downtrend. It's starting to slow down a bit versus where it was in February. So, again, much like November, maybe we can get to a point here where it's starting to get closer to flatlining, but it's not there yet. The most interesting thing to me, though, just to note is, again, this is overall pressure onto Tesla cars, is the Model 3. The Model 3 average price, list price on used car gurus now is only $400 higher than the used car gurus index. It's almost at price parity with the entire index. This is insane to me. I mean, I know it's not exactly apples to apples. Other car makers, the distribution of their cars, like the how many miles and model year. I know everything's different, but still, I would think that would favor Tesla having higher prices because they're mostly newer cars. So yeah, that is stunning to me. And most of that plummet happened in January, February. I mean, there was a gap of beginning in January. There was a gap of I don't know why I can't pull it up exactly. Probably $3,000, and now that's gone down to $400. So I don't know what Again, still pressure on Tesla prices.
Yeah. I was looking at it last night with Yutzi. And in the last 30 days, it's a stunning pace of decline in the resale values. I mean, Model 3, you can kind of explain part of it with the new Model 3 just being an incredible car, you know. But the Model Y is also declining. It's like 6-7% in the last 30 days.
So, do you think I mean, Model 3, Model Y are linked because, again, they're both electric cars, and there's this market for electric cars. And the Model 3 refresh is hurting. Of course, it makes sense that would hurt used Model 3 prices because now you're not getting something. There's a new offering, you're getting some new benefits, and the used car prices aren't getting them. And so maybe the Model Y is linked to that still. People who would have shopped for a used Model Y for a certain price now preferentially would wait for a new Model 3, even though it's not a new Model Y. It's a new Model 3 with ventilated seats and some of these other features. So I think maybe that is pushing down Model Y prices too, used. And so that's not indicative of demand. That part is not indicative of a demand issue necessarily. So for Tesla new cars. So
I don't know how much cross shopping there is between Model 3 and Y. It's not clear to me. Remember, the Model Y and Model 3 relationship is not like, 3 Series from BMW versus X3. The Model Y is more like an X5. Like it's a much larger vehicle, much more interior space. It's, you know, like it's not an SUV on its own. It's still a crossover, but it's not as close to the Model 3 as X3 is to the 3 Series. So I think the primary driver of both of the declines is more the interest rates, not the Model 3. I think Model 3 Highland contributes a little bit more to the Model 3 resale value declines, but I think the primary reason is the interest rates.
yeah, that's certainly possible. I would just say, looking at the trends of both Model 3 and Model Y here, they are obviously they're offset in the absolute price, the Model Y being higher, but their trends are, I mean, almost exactly alike. So whatever is affecting them the same.
Exactly. That's exactly right. Great point. Now, I'm sure you also noted, as I was looking last night, the Model S and X resale value declines are much lower in the last 30 days. How do you explain that?
I just, I mean, I saw that. I didn't look at the plots, but I saw the numbers. Yeah, it's not declining as much over the last 90 days. I mean, there's bigger declines for those months ago, and so over the last 90 days, there's similar overall declines. Over the last year, it's been more actually in the Model S and Model X than the Model Y and 3. So exactly now why that hasn't decreased as much, I don't really have a good explanation. I'd have to think about it. You know, none of the there's been no I don't know. I'd have to think about this. What do you think?
I don't know. I don't know. I didn't think about too much, but I noted that there's a big difference between the depreciation. I wonder if it's because those are higher priced vehicles and obviously the loan balances are higher and everything, but more affluent households buy the Model S and X, and I wonder if they're less sensitive to an increase in interest rates because of that.
It's a possibility for sure. But I don't the interest rate fluctuations has been going on for more than just the last month.
Wealthy households don't pay interest.
That's part of it, yeah. But they've also gone down 30% in the last year, and most people are arguing that that was because of interest rates. So why did they go down 30% over the last year? I mean,
Yeah.
let alone we didn't
I mean,
include
if yeah, exactly. I mean, you make great points. That's if somebody told me a year ago, 13 months ago, when Tesla started cutting these prices, that in about a year, you're still going to see Model 3 and Model Y resale value declines of 6-7% in 30 days, I would probably kick them out of the space. I really underestimated. That's one thing I learned in the last 12 months is that interest rates are very important to the order rates, way more important than I realized. The next question is, so on March 1, Tesla said, which is Friday, Tesla said they're going to increase prices. And Omar said earlier that he expects prices to increase. I put out a poll this morning. Majority of the people said they will increase, but maybe not as much as $1,000 that they dropped in February. And interest rates are still very high. And if we look at other, big ticket items like houses, homes, home sales, mortgage purchase applications, week after week after week, they're going down. And do you think, Machine, that Tesla will increase prices, will be able to increase prices as they indicated earlier? Or do you think that they will not increase prices or maybe increase them maybe $100, $200, just to kind of save face because the interest rates are pushing higher still?
Well, the CEO, made this statement, right? It wasn't just Tesla. Like he actually tweeted something about this. Am I correct?
I don't remember. Omar, do you
Um,
remember?
No.
I just think, of course, they should if they're going to make that statement, and you should have pretty high confidence if you're going to make a statement predicting that you're going to do something with prices in a month, that you better do it, because otherwise, of course, people will simply start not to believe anything you say. Now, will they? I don't know. We have all these issues with, like you just mentioned, interest rates. If you look at used car prices, we do see, at least with the Model 3, some small price increases. Of course, that's mostly because production of the Model 3 has been pretty limited. At the same time, the EV tax credit went away from the Model 3. So still, I think net, that's a benefit to showing that there still is demand for the Model 3, even though the $7,500 tax credit went away. So that does show at least some promise that they could be able to do that with the Model Y. I find raising the amount $100 or so to, quote, save face, actually the worst outcome. I think the best outcome is, if they can't raise the prices right now, is to just wait a week or two, or I don't know how long, and then raise them 1,000, and then you can be like, see, I still raised them 1,000. Like, yeah, it was a few weeks off, but I did what I said. I hope they do, because otherwise, it's honestly embarrassing. And this is another reason why, Nvidia CEO is much more trustworthy. If Nvidia CEO said we're going to raise the prices for H100s by whatever thousands of dollars in a month, they would do it.
Yeah, it's an interesting conundrum because interest rates aren't the only thing that's, still high versus a month ago. Like at that time, I think people expected, and I expected, a rate cut, maybe in the March meeting or the May meeting. But after the January inflation data, things changed a little bit. These rates started going back up. The 10-year yield went from 3.9% to 4.3%. And then on top of that, V12 was maybe expected to, improve and roll out a little faster than what it's panning out in the last 30, 60 days. So that may play a role too. I mean, let's say, for example, that you're the decision maker, God forbid, and you knew for a fact that by the end of the quarter, um, you would have to cut again. Would you raise prices on March 1?
No, that's just
Yeah.
going to end up being more embarrassing. Like, you're going to have to cut your losses with the fact that you screwed up, but don't start. That's even more BS. This wishy-washy. Well, then I did raise them. I raised them for 1 hour and then cut the prices again, or I raised them for a month and then cut the prices again massively. It's just not showing strength. And I actually wish, and I think they thought this was going to be the case, and we're all wrong just in terms of how deep they would have to cut the prices. But last year, when they cut the prices massively, I thought, this is great. Cut them to the lowest value you possibly think they would need to get at. And then you can slowly raise them over time and make people see that this is it. There's enough demand for sure. And yeah, we're going to suffer for a quarter because our earnings are going to be terrible that quarter because we basically, punted on our maximizing earnings. But the benefit being, psychologically, after that, everyone would know that basically the prices are only going to go up. Maybe not by much, but like there's no more waiting for price cuts. And now we're in this area instead where, I mean, they netted more income each quarter this way. But now people are in a state where they're like, not sure. Should I buy now? Should I wait? Are the prices going down further? And there's a whole psychology there between the interplay between consumers and the company deciding, to the point now the company is actually trying to do this signaling, this psychological game theory on saying, we're going to cut now, we're going to raise later, trying to trigger people. And I just think they're not in the situation where they can to do that and people buy in fully. There's not enough trust built by the way the price cuts have happened.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought maybe they were tying it to V12 wide release or some other event. I'm not sure. But Tesla Lee says in live chat that he received an email from Tesla saying prices will go back up March 1st. Steve Steranka says it said so in the app on March 1, but no longer showing in the app for him. So curious. I'm curious what's going to happen.
I don't think
The prices will go up $1,000. Why is there any debate? They spelled it out pretty clearly.
Well, Yaman doesn't think so.
Well, I didn't say one way or the other. I'm just kind of asking you. I'm the host, remember? I'm
Yeah.
neutral. I'm Switzerland. I'm not
Ugh,
making predictions.
disgusting.
And then
Yeah.
Model 3 prices might have to go up too to maintain the balance.
So Elon said on February 11, since most people don't love buying cars in the middle of winter, Tesla is offering $1,000 incentive to do so. This is essentially quandary of manufacturing. Factories need continuous production for efficiency, but consumer demand is seasonal.
By the way, isn't it been super warm in the Midwest and East
Exactly.
Coast?
I mean, I think the entire country has been warmer than seasonal in January and February. So, just to kind of zoom out a little bit, a lot of people are writing off the January growth data as, this is seasonal adjustments, and the inflation data as well. I don't know about that. I don't know.
And Switzerland's embarrassing. Okay, I mean, if you want to be the person who stores the gold from people's teeth or something, I guess you'll make money that way. But it's reprehensible. So yeah, come at me. So if anyone here's from Switzerland, yeah, whatever. I don't care.
Can Jay says in live chat, I have texts from Tesla saying the price will go back up $1,000 or more or March 1. Omar, if you were the decision maker and you had said that the prices will go up on March 1, but there's maybe some cyclical, not seasonal, cyclical weakness going on because of high interest rates, and that you would have to cut again, whether on the design page or the new inventory page later in the quarter, later in the month of March. Would you increase price on March 1?
Yes, they have to increase prices on March 1. Otherwise, the whole scheme is broken, right? Order now and get a discount. Well, if you don't give the discount, then people are just never going to care about anything you say again. $1,000 is not going to destroy Model Y sales. It's just $1,000. This is like what's the difference in the payment going to be? Like $10 or something? It doesn't make a difference to anybody. So they're not saying we'll never cut the price again. If they need to cut the price again in April or the end of March or whatever, they can do that. But we're just not going to see the pace of price cuts that we saw in the past because they're scraping against the wall of cogs. So they're kind of just getting to the end of what they can do here with price cuts, right? And that's why they didn't provide guidance. So your choice is either continue cutting price or slow growth. And they said, okay, well, we're kind of at the end of what we can do with this platform. We're just going to see slower growth this year until we have the next gen platform out. So, yeah, I think they'll just raise the price. What's the big deal?
All right. Any other questions, comments? Please request to speak.
Not to mention, for the Model Ys we bought this quarter, all of them had inventory discounts. One of them had a $5,000 inventory discount. One of them had a $3,000 inventory discount. So the price isn't even necessarily the price everybody's paying. If you want to move inventory, you could just cut the inventory pricing by $1,000 or whatever, and you can still raise the list price $1,000.
Hey, Machine, did you hear? Omar has a Cybertruck coming on was it Friday, Omar?
Yeah,
Yeah. So you're going to go to Machine and give him a ride, right? Or do you want
yeah,
him to come to you?
yeah. I'll give him an FSD 12 ride and a Cybertruck ride.
Not on the same day.
Yeah, why not?
So you're going to go with the Cybertruck, pick him up, bring him over to your place, and then get into the next other car? Because Cybertruck doesn't have V12, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But
Wow, Machine, you got a treat coming your way.
that is, I don't know what to say here. But I'm assuming you're picking up your Cybertruck at Fremont or what, the delivery center there, or where?
Um, one of the local delivery centers. Last
Right.
time I took a delivery, some guy showed up,
Oh,
like
okay.
from Twitter. So that was kind of weird. And
Yeah,
now
I can
he's
meet.
like blocked me because I'm like, I don't have time to hang out with you. We have to go somewhere. It was bizarre.
Machine, you're holding on to your Nvidia position?
Yeah, from last week I had sold some of it. I still have the rest, although I set up some.
It's going down for the last couple of days.
Yeah, it's still
Because
fine,
because
but
you weren't on the speaker board to pump it up.
I was not able to pump it up. It's true. I would, if it gets back up, I'm going to start selling some more as it goes, if it goes back up a bit. I'm kind of, I lost interest, to be honest. I have like no ability to hold long term with options, even though they're leap options, and there's no reason that I couldn't hold long term. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I need to go back to just buying and holding companies. It's just much more easy. So, not that I regret buying Nvidia. I just now the deciding of when to sell is a bit harder. Um, so for now, I am. We'll see. That can change in a week.
I don't know everything. The more I dig into this company, and I respect Wes and his expertise and everything, but yesterday's space was incredibly valuable. I recommend people go watch it. But everything I've seen from a valuation perspective, the unsustainable revenue growth figures, the unsustainable margins on top of that, and on top of both, the unsustainable PE ratio tells me that this is a bubble. And of course, bubbles can go up further before they go bust. And now we have Bitcoin also surging to all-time highs, getting close to all-time highs.
Yeah, I mean, I've been buying $10 of Bitcoin a day since it crashed. And
No way. Are you joking?
no, not like, so I have made $5,700. I'm up 121%, and it's about 4.20% of my portfolio.
Did Bitcoin pay for the down payment of your Cybertruck?
No, I'm just gonna hold it. Um, I kind of am not, I don't have some huge multi-$100,000 position in Bitcoin or something, but I think Bitcoin's kind of cool. So, um, yeah, it's usually a good time to buy it when it crashes. It's usually not good to chase it when it kind of runs up like this. That's how people kind of get burned and then, get left with the loss for like years before it recovers. But it's a very sort of cyclical thing. It's a boom and bust. It jumps up, it crashes. It's like really a series of successive bubbles. Um, so, I'm not a huge crypto trader or anything like that, but it seemed like just something that I think will probably continue to rise over time.
Yeah. Chris N in live chat says he took Nvidia and coin profits. So he took some profits on both of those. And Steven asks, Omar, for you, is Bitcoin dependent on Nvidia GPUs to run the mining?
No, Bitcoin isn't mined on Nvidia GPUs. Ethereum was mined on Nvidia GPUs quite often, but then I think they've now maybe moved to proof of stake or something. I haven't been following it that closely. But Bitcoin typically is mined on specialized ASICs, which is really specialized chips that are really purpose optimized for the Bitcoin hash function. SHA 256, SHA 256. You take the SHA 256 hash of the hash. So these ASICs can far outperform NVIDIA GPUs. NVIDIA GPUs could be used to mine crypto, but if you're looking for the most performant solution, you'd probably be buying a dedicated ASIC dedicated to Bitcoin mining.
Who makes those?
I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of companies that make them. I remember there was like Antminer and some other different companies back then. Um, but yeah, it's not really they're not really buying Nvidia cards. I mean, Nvidia cards would just be way too expensive for them, first of all. But you don't really need the full power of an Nvidia card. You really just need this one function, hardware optimized.
Thank you. Steve Steranka in live chat says the Bitcoin halvening is about 2 months away. Generally, BTC rises into the halvening cycle and seems to have been following the playbook lately.
Yeah, that's true. Because the way it works, the rewards miners basically get cut in half. So essentially less supplies being introduced into the market, if that
Hmm.
makes sense.
Yeah. Do you look at Bitcoin price increase and say we're back to the risk on um, mode of 2020, 2021, 2022? Or do you think this
Um,
is justified price increase?
I mean, the market's certainly doing well. You have many tech stocks at all-time highs, fueled by the AI rise. You've got this insane move up in Nvidia, which has made some people very rich. And yeah, a lot of those people probably maybe are putting some money into Bitcoin too. So it's good when people are making money, when they have more money, they feel more rich, they make more investments, their sentiment about the market improves. So I wouldn't say it's necessarily indicative of a more risk on environment, but rather it probably is just sort of people having some money in their pocket, seeing that the Bitcoin reward is going to half again, knowing what happens in the past, and kind of speculating that there would be a move, and it's sort of happening. So, I mean, generally, it does seem like there, it feels a lot like those days, right? In 2020, 2021, when everybody was making a lot of money, stocks are shooting up. So, I think that's generally a good thing when the market's doing well.
Sawyer says Tesla sold 75% of its Bitcoin in Q2 2022. The company still held the remaining 25%, worth about $387 million as of the end of Q4 2023. It's possible Tesla sold more Bitcoin with prices near $62,000. Tesla's average cost is about $34,000 according to Sawyer, but we won't know for sure until Q1 earnings come out.
That's good. So Tesla made money on it.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, maybe a few $100 million. Yep.
They shouldn't have caved to all the fund managers. If they just held the whole thing, they would have made $1 billion, right?
Hindsight 2020. Maybe they should have bought some penny stocks a few years ago too. Sawyer also says in the US, the Tesla Model 3 was the most searched car model in the last 6 months. It had more than 3.8 million searches between August 2023 and January 2024. Interesting. What do you think about the new Roadster? 0 to 60 time of around 1% or less than 1%. 2025
Yeah.
production.
Well, I hope it doesn't kill me if, that kind of acceleration sounds like, I think 5 Gs people pass out. So this would be like more than 2 Gs. So, I probably wouldn't go in if you have like some heart problems or anything. I probably wouldn't take your grandma or grandpa in there and launch it. But it sounds like it's going to be a pretty amazing vehicle. It's going to be really fun to see the unveil later this year. At the same time, I'm not really holding my breath that this actually ships next year. If you remember, it was actually supposed to ship this year. So this is essentially a fancy way to delay it, right? So instead of coming out and saying, hey, you know, listen, we got too much on our plate this year. We can't make the Roadster. They said, "Oh, guess what? The Roadster's gonna be even bigger and better. It's gonna fly and it's gonna go 0 to 60 in under 1 second." And it's like, seems like you're kind of just increasing the work for yourself here. I don't need it to fucking fly. Just take the car design. It looks sexy. Put a plaid drivetrain in it, and just fucking ship it. You know, you want to do a Roadster 2, whatever, maybe do that. But I mean, it sounds like they got some plan here, so we'll see what they have. But I mean, this thing was unveiled in what, 2016? Here we are, it's 2024. I wouldn't be surprised if it's like 10 years after the unveil when they finally ship it. So, I think most people are kind of like, look, I'll believe it when I see it. It sounds amazing. I'm glad they're working on it. I'm glad that this isn't some type of concept car situation as some people were trying to say. This really is a product that they intend to make, and I mean, it sounds like it's going to be just an incredible product, probably the fastest car in the world, which is just kind of fun for Tesla to take that crown. But at this point, it's been so long that they kind of need to put up or shut up. And I think they probably will. I think it really is going to blow people away, and it will actually be sold to people as a real product.
All right. What else is on your mind? We talked Nvidia, Tesla, Cybertruck, FSD, Model 3, used car prices, Model Y price increases coming up on Friday.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking about my Cybertruck, honestly, and about the V12 rollout, hoping for 12.3 to come and for that to get in the hands of more people. For pretty much everybody who it's gone out to, they've been excited. Some of them have said, I'm buying more Tesla stock. So I think it's going to be really important for people to see that. Any news on like an international rollout, which would obviously come well after the US rollout, is going to be really important for the company this year. And so they canceled the Apple Car too. That was another thing. We talked about that a little bit. There may be some talent there that is going to leave the company as a result if they don't necessarily want to work on generative AI. So that could be an opportunity for Tesla, for Rivian, for others to poach some people from the company. And yeah, I think there's sort of a recognition of Tesla's dominance in capital markets. I mean, people like you and me, we never really took the Apple Car seriously. It's like, come on, they've been working on this thing for 10 years. Now it's going to come to the market. And I think really nobody can compete with what Tesla's doing. There's so much negativity from investors that, oh my God, now their gross margins have been cut in half. It's only 16% instead of 32%. This is such a disaster. The stock's going down, earnings are falling. But you just look at the impact on the market. It's gone from these competitors really thriving, really growing a lot, although they were losing a lot of money, they could also sell the vehicles for quite a high price. And now to a situation where essentially no one can compete. Legacy Auto, they're pulling back. Their sales are actually shrinking. Like you saw Ford sales in January, EV sales down 10% year over year. And you look at, for example, Rivian, great product. Everybody agrees, one of the best non-Tesla EV products out there. Their sales are going down in Q4 compared to Q3, falling sequentially instead of growing. And they're keeping their production outlook flat. Then you look at Apple, one of the most cash-rich companies in the world, right? If anybody can get into this EV business and make a splash, it's got to be Apple, right? But where is there room for the market in kind of like probably the 100K-ish range Apple would want to compete in to really make a product that's up to their standards? I think it would have to be at least 75 to 100K. And in terms of where does that volume come from, the battery, the general assembly volume, where, a higher volume product, they're not equipped to do that yet. So it would really have to be in that 75 to 100K range. But they can't really play in Tesla's market where you don't have EVs selling at $50,000, $60,000 anymore. Now it's like $30,000, $40,000. And that's a tough market, I think, for Apple to enter. And I think they just looked at this and said, this could be a disaster for us to compete in, right? We don't want to get into this situation where we're having a price war with Tesla or something like that, right? So I think that's also part of, for you and me, we knew there was never any Apple car coming. But most of the market, they genuinely believe that, oh, all these competitors are coming for Tesla, and Apple car's coming, they're going to take all the customers. And now they're just sort of faced to confront the reality that that's not the case.
We had a question on a related matter yesterday that I'd like your opinion on. Mike of Occam Capital asked whether generative AI developments reduce Tesla's advantage with real world miles. What do you think?
I don't think so. I mean, there's fundamentally no replacement for getting the car out there and actually driving and it actually works, right? So if I can go and I say, hey, how do I know this self-driving car is safe for me to get in? And the company can say, well, this car has driven 100 billion miles and it hasn't crashed one time or something. I'm not saying that's like achievable or anything. I'm just throwing some crazy numbers out there. You'd say, okay, wow, okay, it's driven 100 billion miles. What's the chance that this 3 mile trip to the grocery store is going to be the one where it crashes, right? So there's just a lot of validation that comes from actually going and driving miles and having success. You can't fool it. You can sort of simulate the world, but it's sort of like grading your own test, right? You're writing the test. You're only testing for things that you know you can handle. Or if you can't handle them, you make sure you can test them. So where generative AI has helped is it can help you really generate a lot of data in the training set. Like, for example, and they've been using simulated data for a while where you have a simulated sort of game engine rendering and that footage goes into the training set. But what generative AI lets you do is sort of train a model and generate a lot more videos, a lot more examples. So it certainly helps with the data collection uh, to some extent in terms of generating sufficient training data to train the model. A lot of these generative approaches are now being used to generate synthetic training data that's like almost indistinguishable from real data. And that's helpful to everybody, including Tesla. And Tesla's benefited from this a lot. They can take a scene and say, okay, make it drive in the left lane, make it drive in the right lane, make it make a left turn or a right turn. And it can just generate this footage that's not even in the training data. So, in effect, it multiplies the power of the training data. But in terms of actually having that real world usage and validation and proving it's really safe in the real world, that can't be replaced with anything synthetic.
All right. Matthew, how are you? What's new with you?
Hey guys, not sure if you talked about it already, but did you see the Cybertruck selling at the Mannheim dealer auction today?
Yes, $244,000. Are you the one who bought it?
No, no, I was watching it though. It'll be interesting to see what it gets listed for. If it sold for 244, figure after fees, the dealer's getting it for I don't know 250 or so, and then they got to ship it to probably to their store, which is in South Orlando, I believe, the Porsche South Orlando. So I think they're probably going to list it somewhere in the 350 to 400K range. A lot of these luxury exotic cars, they want to build in a pretty big margin. But I'll be curious to see what people think they're actually going to list this car for and what it will sell for. But I would not be surprised if it sells for somewhere above 350, close to 400K.
Do you think Tesla will go after the reseller?
Yeah, I'm sure they will. So, like, we know the VIN of the car. So, Tesla knows who owned it. So, someone went to a dealer, sold it to that dealer. They probably, what if I was that person and I was trying to be shady, which I imagine they are, right? They would have said, okay, you give me MSRP plus 50K because, Tesla's going to want that 50K back. But then on the side, you hire me or you buy some other asset from me for an overinflated price. So, the person who owned that Cybertruck is not just selling it to break even. If they wanted to break even, they could have gone back to Tesla and sold it back to them. The dealer only got 244 for it. So if they paid, 100K MSRP or I don't know if it was a Cyber Beast, if it was Cyber Beast, then 120K MSRP plus the tax and license that person paid on it. So figure another 10 grand plus 50K. Um, it's got to be way more than that because, like I said, the seller wouldn't do all of that just to break even.
According to the clause, Tesla may seek injunctive relief to prevent the transfer of the title of the vehicle or demand liquidated damages from you in the amount of $50,000 or the value received as consideration for the sale or transfer, whichever is greater.
Yeah, correct. And I think
So
this,
Tesla can go after the entire thing.
well, keep in mind there's a buyer. So let's say, John Smith was the buyer. John Smith sold the vehicle to the dealer on paper, say for 160K, which would be what John Smith paid for the car plus 50K. I bet that's what the paper says. So Tesla will, sue the seller, the original buyer, John Smith, and then they'll take it to court and they'll request discovery. And then the John Smith will say, well, here's the bill of sale. I sold it to the dealer for 160. So yeah, sure, I'll cut you a check for 50K.
Yeah, but you're saying no, hold on. No, Tesla said 50K or whatever is greater. So in that case, it would be 160. But you're also saying on top of that there might be some side deal, and
There has to be.
that would also be part of the consideration.
Correct.
So
If they can prove it.
Tesla can go after that as well.
Yeah. So let's say John Smith sold and some bullshit NFT for 50K to that dealer. Tesla will try and find that out through discovery.
What the fuck are you talking about? Sorry. Why would he sell an NFT? Like, why do you think there was a side deal?
Because the person didn't just break even. Like if the person sold it for say 200K, they would owe Tesla what they paid, so say 110K, less than they'd take the 200K, subtract what they paid, the
Look, call me
110K, and they would
crazy.
owe the whole
Call me
amount.
crazy, but I don't think that Tesla is going to sue all their customers. Everyone who buys a Cybertruck and tries to sell
They
it.
got to sue one to set a
I don't
precedent.
think they
Like,
need to sue anybody. I think the clause is honestly deterrent enough. You
yeah,
don't
but
want to get in the
it's a
unless someone's doing something egregious that's really hurting your business. Do you really want to be suing your own customers? Probably
I mean,
not.
Ford did it to John Cena when he sold his Ford GT. So, like if Tesla doesn't sue this person, then every single other person who bought a Cybertruck, like I'm back. Sorry, I'm on T-Mobile on cell. Can you repeat what Omar? Can you repeat your response to me?
He said, "What
I
the
mean, I
fuck are
didn't
you talking
respond. You were
about?"
talking.
Oh, this is a mess. All right, let's put Matthew on
So
hold. Let's put Matthew on hold for a second. Okay, Freddie, and then Wes, and then Matthew.
Yeah, I mean, the Ford situation is totally different than what's going on here. The Ford situation is a car that's like a very low limited production vehicle that was intended to go into the hands of people vetted by Ford. This is really not the case here. I don't really see Tesla suing all the owners that try to flip the vehicles. Like, we're already seeing production ramp up pretty quickly based on all the drone footage that we're seeing. You know, I think somebody's crazy for buying this for $250,000 at this point, maybe a few months ago when they first came out. But, with production ramping up as it is, these are going to get in the hands of people. And I think the prices are going to come down on the secondhand market, very quickly.
Yeah, good luck convincing the jury someone shouldn't be able to sell their own car. He sold his car that he paid me $100,000 for, huh? I don't know. I don't see them actually going out and suing people. I mean, this seems like kind of good press, right? Hey, the Cybertruck's worth 250K apparently.
yeah, it is good press. The thing is, Tesla, let's say 10 people resell their Cybertruck. Tesla doesn't have to sue all of them. They only have to sue one and get some headlines and have that person agree to a settlement. And then the headline says, Cybertruck reseller settles with Tesla, has to pay them consideration for the resale. That alone would deter most people from reselling their Cybertruck. If Tesla does nothing, then it means that that clause is unenforceable and every single person who buys one can resell it, which Tesla doesn't want. Like Tesla doesn't want the market to be,
I
you
mean,
know,
the best way to punish whoever is trying to skim off some extra profits is, like Freddie said, to ramp production, and that seems to be going well, according to Joe Tagmeyer's drone shots. The production rate seems to be increasing. But Wes, what did you have to say on this matter?
Oh, I just think it's good press, and I highly doubt that Tesla is going to sue them. That's my 2 cents.
Okay, so you agree with Omar. Freddie, do you think Tesla? No, you said you agree with Omar as well. Matthew, you're kind of alone out there in a lonely island.
well, like I said, if Tesla doesn't enforce this clause, then it's not enforceable for anyone. Whether they win or lose, it if the fact that they bring the case, I think will scare enough people to not resell it. Like
Omar?
like Omar, what if someone says to you tomorrow, "Hey, I'll give you 500K for the Cybertruck you just bought"? Like, I'm pretty sure you'd probably sell it, right? Which Tesla doesn't want to have happen.
Omar?
Well, I don't think Matthew's on a lonely island. I've had several people DM me and say, "Oh my God, they're going to get sued or whatever." I think a lot of people are watching this. I don't think it's the first Cybertruck that's been sold. And, honestly, if someone offered me $500,000, I'd have a hard time accepting because I'm really excited to play with the Cybertruck and I don't know how long it would take to get another one. So, it's kind of stupid. I mean, I probably should take 500,000, but I think the purpose of this clause is really just targeted at people who are not acting in good faith. That is to say, people who are buying these trucks to flip them, right? So you got honest customers, Tesla fans who want the product. And if everyone's just buying it and flipping it, and the real Tesla fans can't get it, and they instead have to pay $250,000 in the used market, that's a problem, right? Because that's just not fair. So this clause, I think, is just targeted at that, so that real customers who actually want to use it themselves can get it first. And that people who are buying just to flip it, and usually these people are serial flippers, right? They buy and flip one, then they're going to buy and flip more. So this is just to target that behavior. That was at least my perception of it. And if someone just genuinely, for example, I saw one Craigslist ad where he said, "Hey, I'm selling my Cybertruck a few months ago. I got it, but my wife thinks it's really ugly." Right? So if you just genuinely need to sell it because you're broke or your wife thinks it's ugly or you're going bankrupt or it doesn't fit in your garage or any legitimate reason, it seems a little bit harsh to sue someone because they're broke and need the money, right? I think we could all agree on that. It's really just these people who are trying to game the system, flip the Cybertruck, and why should they make 150,000 flipping it because supply is limited and Tesla only makes 100,000, right? So that's really what I feel like this clause is about. And I don't think it says we will sue you. It says we may sue you. We may do this or something like that. So I think it's really on a case by case basis for bad faith actors, not legitimate customers who may have a legitimate reason to sell it.
Yeah, I think there's a couple different ways that Tesla is fighting this positively, and obviously that's making more cars. The truck is designed for high volume production, so they combat that with making more cars. And then the second thing is that if you have multiple reservations like me, all made roughly around the same time, they're only allowing you to configure one at a time. And so they're not letting people who have I know a couple people who have well over 100 reservations. So they're not letting that play out. So they're only doing one at a time. So they're combating it that way. And Omar's right. The language is not a definite. So it's not deterministic that they're going to sue you. And then on the other side, if you have this much money and you're willing to pay like crazy amounts, everybody has their price, even people who have millions of dollars, have their price. So if they bought this truck and somebody comes and offers them a price where they're willing to sell, obviously they're going to sell it. And these people will also pay the fine that Tesla, implements on them. So there's nothing that's going to really stop this from happening. So Tesla is only going to be in the wrong if they decide to sue somebody. Anyway, it's my 2 cents.
Yeah, it seems the PR cost would be much higher than a few Cybertrucks we sold. And creating, like Omar said, creating some buzz around how valuable this product is.
Just shows it's way underpriced.
Yeah. Hey, Freddie, I know you track order rates. Are you seeing any new developments on the sexy products? Do you expect a price increase on March 1, Friday? And if there's a price increase, do you expect some inventory discounts along with it? Maybe not at the same time, but a couple weeks later for the quarter end?
My data doesn't show a huge increase in orders.
Yeah.
It's
Is
about
that
level.
is that true for all models?
So the data I get shows it all together, X Cybertruck, and it's all aggregated together. I think that their sample size isn't good enough to divvy it up.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. I'm trying to remember if there's any. So going back to Nvidia, Matthew, is there anything else you want to say on Cybertruck? Any final words from your lonely island? No. Okay. Trying to remember, Wes, on Nvidia, if there's anything you and Omar disagree with, but I think you guys pretty much agree on everything on that front.
Yeah, it does sound like we're pretty close.
Yeah, I think your disagreement on the topic on the value of Nvidia is more with Meta, who said he would be here tomorrow. Do you think you can make it tomorrow for a bull bear discussion on Meta on Nvidia?
Yeah, sure. I think I can make it tomorrow.
All right. Omar, can you make it tomorrow at 2 o'clock?
Sure.
We can have a really detailed, in-depth discussion on Nvidia. I'm looking forward to it.
You mean 2 o'clock your time, right?
Yeah, that's right. The normal starting
Yeah.
time, two
Okay.
o'clock Central Time. Exactly.
Great.
Sorry.
Copy.
All right. This space has been going on for an hour and a half. Anything? Oh, Greg is here. Let's talk about his Cybertruck. Freddie, in the meantime, go ahead.
So I am seeing one new point of data on the orders. One thing that's interesting is that for Model Y, the the mix of new inventory orders versus sorry, custom build orders versus inventory orders. Um, right now, I'm seeing 80 to 90% of orders are from inventory.
Really? That's surprising to me. Like, although new inventory prices are better, I didn't realize maybe the
Yeah, it's
popularity of new
huge.
inventory page has increased. Maybe the popularity of new inventory page has increased.
Model 3 is
Well,
is down to almost zero, given that there's a switch over to the revert um, to the revised version, but Model Y is very high.
so the inventory units are a few $1,000s cheaper. And I actually configured through the custom order page. And as you now get to the end of that flow, it says, hey, here's a matching Model Y that's right near you. Would you like to select this one available for immediate delivery? So they just automatically, even through the custom flow, take you into an available inventory unit.
Maybe that's what's happening. Is that Tesla's actively pushing people to their pre-built inventory?
Right, yeah.
Okay, thank you for letting us know. Omar, did you have something else to add?
Yeah, I was just going to say it's a really great experience for people who want to buy a car to buy it and be able to just pick it up right away that same week. So, my aunt and uncle who bought the Model Y on Sunday, they're going to be taking delivery tomorrow. So, less than a week turnaround from order to pickup. The other one, they're taking delivery on Saturday. So, again, less than a week turnaround from order to delivery, which, not that long ago, people were waiting months. Now it's just instant gratification.
Yes, and Tesla is delivering that instant gratification with only 10 days or so of inventory, as opposed to legacy dealerships that have 2, 3, 4, 5 months of inventory. All right, Greg, welcome. How are you? How is your Cybertruck?
Holy heck. Whole MFG, my guy. I love it.
Yeah. Let's see. How was the delivery process like for you?
Okay. Yeah. So, my delivery was quite unique. My leading up to delivery, I don't have the VIN that I had posted on the internet. I have a completely different truck. My original VIN that I was provided was misrouted, and they got me a different truck, and I took delivery Sunday. I'll probably do like a vlog style thing and like share all about leading up to it. But yeah, I mean, it was just an error, and it was a cool delivery experience. It was fairly low key. They brought me in an hour before they opened to make sure it's private, and just me and who I brought, which was awesome. It's just me, Kylie, and my brother Mike, and My family still didn't know. It was really fun pulling up and going to dinner that night, and my mom being like, "Oh my gosh, one of those triangle trucks is here." And then my mom going, "Oh my gosh, it's Greg. What the heck?" And she freaked out because there was nobody knew. No one in my family knew. So it was really, really sweet to be able to pull that surprise off. And it's cool to see others also take their delivery and share what they've decided to do with theirs and their surprises and their experiences. But it was uh it was a pretty low key delivery experience. They gave me all the time in the world to like play with it and stuff. And as you can see, thanks for pinning the post. I got up on the roof of it against guidance and suggestion from others, but it did okay. I weigh 210. I'm 6'3", 6'4", and it had a little flex to it, but we quickly snapped the shot and I got the crap off of there, and I won't do that ever again.
Nice. So Omar is taking his Cybertruck delivery on Friday. What advice do you have for him?
Just be ready for any curveballs. It seems like my big don't go in there expecting anything, but maybe you do have a cooler experience. But like I went in there, I don't know, I'm fairly controlling in my head and thought that it'd go a certain type of way and it didn't, and that's okay. But I thought that it was going to go different, but it was still really cool, and it was fun. I will
Like
remember it.
you imagine there'd be like a huge party,
I thought there'd
like
be
confetti.
strippers and Elon and like all the drugs that the media says that he does and stuff, and like there was just confetti and clapping, and that like that's fine too. But where are the strippers and
They
cocaine?
brought confetti for you?
They did bring confetti, yes.
Wow.
it
I mean,
was
yeah, it
it was
seems
pretty
like
cool.
some of them, the delivery centers put on kind of a show, but I think that's
Yeah.
kind of on a delivery center by delivery center basis what they choose to do.
And that's why I'm saying, like, don't expect anything because, like, Mesa may be different from even Scottsdale versus Glendale, like, much less Mesa versus Sunnyvale or wherever you're getting yours. But they did confetti, and then they actually gave me a backpack with some swag in it. I think basically as like an apology for screwing it up. It was horrendous. I showed up on Monday to like check on the status of the truck, and I am standing in the showroom, and the first delivery guy showed up to take delivery of his truck. He was so kind. I was a bit of an asshole. I was like, "That's supposed to be me," and I was like, "You fucking idiot, Greg. Why would you say that? Like, golly." But I knew that I was supposed to be first. That was a whole thing. And it wasn't, but it's okay. Like it's all behind you now, and that doesn't matter. So just like enjoy the day as it goes and be fluid. You're a very fluid, chill dude, Omar. Like I've met you briefly and spent some time with you, and like there's just jazz hands, man. You're just chilling, bro. So I'm sure you'll have an awesome experience, and I'm glad you're finally getting it. Like, dude, the hoops and
Yeah, I'm
hoops, huh?
pumped. And honestly, I don't really mind if they have confetti or anything like that. I just
Yeah.
want to get the truck and get out of there, so.
That's where I was at too. After having a truck go the wrong place and stuff, I was like, just give it. Like, can I go? Can I go? I will show up. What coffee do you want? Medium roast, black? Like, how do you like it? I will. 9 a.m. I'll take it dirty. I don't care. Like, how do we just get me off this ride? Um, but they're doing their best, and their best is going well so far. It seems like so. Um, Quality truck's pretty good. Got a couple little misalignments. My gate on the right side's a little saggy, but my frunk was a little recessed. I had a small scratch on some bed plastics in the tonneau cover and like a rubber thing. I fine tooth combed it and looked for the stuff and kind of knew what to look for, just seeing what others have gone through. And that's cool about being not the first altogether, is like then you kind of know what to expect. But largely, the truck runs flawlessly. I've had no functional issues, knock on wood. Everything's been great. They have delivered less than 1,000 of them. So it's still pretty tight on how many people actually have these and stuff. So yeah, it's January is a really rough month, but as y'all can see, it's going pretty well now. So that's awesome. Like
Greg,
really,
let me ask you a couple of questions.
yeah.
Um, let's not now that you brought up production, let me just ask you, what do you think is the production rate right now, Giga Texas?
I'd say that they're bursting around 80, but if you average it out, it's still probably 40 to 50. What
Okay.
you'll go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, you'll what? So I was going to change topics.
No, yeah, for sure. Like what you'll see is like these large piles of trucks show up and then they work through like some quality control things. So that's where they burst out and they shoot for these 80s, and then they have like half of them that actually leave that same day or whatnot. some of them might even just be waiting for, like, some charge, like battery pack, checking and stuff, just making sure that all systems go, and then it leaves, and once it actually is completed and on outbound, that's when a VIN is assigned. It's not a truck that's sitting in the factory somewhere. It is a truck that is turned over to the logistics team to ship out.
Nice. Is there anything about the truck that surprised you?
Um, just how comfortable it is, man. Like, I abstained from driving one until I had mine. Like, I held off on actually driving, and like finally driving and it's mine was like super special. Like, that was freaking cool. I've been grifting, if you will, for this thing for a couple years. And so getting in it and finally experiencing it's very, very fluid. It is a magic carpet ride is what I call it. It's so well done. The air suspension's super fast. It does get tired though. If you keep flipping it up and down, it will get tired. Um, but it's such a well packaged experience altogether. I do think the stereo is pretty awesome. Could maybe be a little better. But dude, it slaps. The whole thing, the packaging on this thing is just a great experience. Hats off to Tesla.
Are you going to get it wrapped?
Yeah, I actually I'm doing like my first like quote unquote like brand deal, if you will, with a tint and PPF shop here locally called Dynamic. Tint is tomorrow and PPF will be week or so following. I Tesla has advised me with them doing the little alignment things on my truck to maybe hold off on the wrap until they do what they do. But I'll tell the tint or the wrap guy tomorrow, and if he's like, whatever, I'll just rewrap it if I have to. He very well may. But pretty stoked to have them taking care of everything and ceramic coating it and really, really pulling out all the stops to make sure this truck looks phenomenal.
Nice, man. I'm happy for you. Finally, you got it. I mean, you've been waiting for how
Thank
many
you.
years, right?
Yeah, yeah. Four
Day one
freaking years.
reservation, right?
Yeah, I was November 20, like 5th or 6th or something, but yeah, I'm lucky to be so early in it, and thank you. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what happened to get me in there early, but I'd like to thank you, Yaman and Omar, and guys that have lifted me up and been really encouraging and shared posts and put me on. Like, thank you guys. It really takes a village, and I'm grateful that I have this 6,500 pound trophy out front. It is absolutely amazing. I'm super grateful. Thanks, guys.
All right. Any questions for Greg? Please request to speak. Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, that Giga Texas parking lot is filling up with Cybertrucks, you know? Do you have many people coming up to you as you drive by and taking pictures and asking questions and recognizing you at all?
I actually do think there was a recognition thing last night at dinner. There was a family that parked next to the truck. They backed in and he started taking pictures and he came with his wife and he definitely kept like nudging over. And there is no reason in this restaurant to assume that his mine is a full restaurant, but he kept like gesturing. And in the Chandler area, I do have a decent amount of my followers that live in the area around me. In fact, I met up with one last night and let him check out the truck. I don't know if it was me or whatnot, but it's cool to see the excitement. Kids love the thing, man. It's wild how much kids love it, and I hate to be like the creepy ice cream man or whatever, but it is cool to see that the kids are really stoked for Cybertruck because they are the future, and for them to be so accepting of it and excited is very indicative of where things will be headed in 10 years time with there will be other vehicles that look like this. So yeah, stopping me for pictures and stuff. Yeah, I mean, I had a family yesterday. I had a couple of people yesterday. I was sitting out in front of my store and people would slow down and take pictures and I'm at stoplights and there's pictures and you drive through an intersection and it's hilarious because people jaws just drop. If they know it's coming, then they already have their phone up. If they don't, then they're just wide-eyed and stuff. I just went to my first supercharger at lunch for just a few minutes just 'cause I didn't really need to charge, but just wanted to see it plugged into a supercharger. Um, and people just driving by it, like, very wide-eyed, very impressed. Um, I had somebody yell something mean out the window yesterday, but other than that, oh, and then at dinner when we were parking, there was an old lady that said it could not be uglier or something like that. But largely, everybody's been really positive. I see people with smiles. I don't know if they're laughing or excited or whatnot, but it's cool to see people recognize that the Cybertruck is really here. It is real. They are delivering. This isn't a meme on the internet. Okay, thanks. Bye. Like the thing is real.
That's awesome. Maybe you and Omar can get together and race them.
It would be a pretty boring race. I think we would match the match everything, but who knows? I mean,
Yeah,
he's been
exactly. It
driving
would come down
these
to
longer.
driving skill, and you
Yeah,
can film it and post it up and see what happens.
come to Phoenix, Omar. I'm super down. That'd be fun.
Yeah, I think I'll probably drive it across the country or something.
Come through. You got a place to
Come to
crash, man.
Austin.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll come to Austin for sure. I might go to Starbase and see the launch if it happens.
When's that supposed to happen?
I think like next week or some shit. March 8th.
All right. Well, let me know. Tomorrow at 2:00 Central, same time, we're going to have an in-depth discussion on Nvidia with Omar and Wes as the Nvidia bulls and Meta as skeptical and me. So maybe we'll have some coffee bets. Wes?
Hey, question for Greg, and congratulations, Greg. You might be the most excited person I think that I've ever heard of for a Cybertruck outside of me. So congrats, man.
Thanks, man. Very much.
And I'm wondering when you use the display on Cybertruck, do you notice any difference from any other Tesla you've ever been
Yeah,
in?
so like responsiveness is, I would say, industry leading. Like I've not been in Lamborghinis and stuff and played with displays to this extent. Obviously, I haven't owned a Lamborghini, but um, it's very, very, very responsive. The display is a 4K 120 hertz panel. So as far as the actual speed and resolution, it is glorious. It's beautiful. It's very bright. I hate fingerprints, so I can't wait for tint for that. Is pretty annoying this morning, but the display is incredible. It's just the way that they executed on the user interface too is really good. It's pretty intuitive. With it being quite a bit different than previous Teslas, there is a small learning curve to how it works, but um, everything's very readily available. You just need to kind of have a little bit of a neural remapping there of like, okay, it's here. That's where you do it. Um, but sheesh, it is its own thing for sure.
How's steer by wire?
Knocking futs, like steer by wire is completely the coolest part. Like backing up, I've not trailered up yet, but I do have a buddy that did, and he's like, I take my boat to the lake several times a year, and backing it in with any other vehicle is crazy. And I was messaging Matthew earlier, Donning and Ryan over here, and I was like, dude, I've driven 3 different trucks today. I've driven my Cybertruck, my Tacoma, and then I had a 26-foot box truck earlier. And my Tacoma has never felt like such a cheap piece of shit ever, until I got back in that from Cybertruck. And it's like, well, it costs twice as much. So yes, and it's older, but like steer by wire is so underrated when you get back into a vehicle and you realize what it's really doing and how clean it really works. Rear wheel steering too is hyper sensitive. It really works super, super well for ripping U-turns, navigating parking lots. It's just like, dude, it was 4 years. It was 4 years for a reason. Like, and then it shows that they really put everything they had. They left it all on the floor with Cybertruck. Like that thing is bananas.
Say if you didn't know it was 48 volt, would do all of the normal 12 volt type systems work the same way? In other words, like do all the body control stuff, window controls and um, uh, lights and everything else, does it all feel the same? In other words, does it feel transparent to you as a
Yeah, like
user?
I have no. If I wouldn't have told you it's 48 volt or 800 volts, you would have zero idea. Like you wouldn't know. One of the little cool things that's a little different is like usually you like press your dome lights and they like kind of click and stuff, but these you just touch it and it turns on and off. It's super pleasant, but that has nothing to do with that. That was just like user experience is really well done. It's super sick.
And maybe one more, in terms of like, I don't know if you've tested the ability for it to deliver torque to only a wheel that has traction. I don't know if you've tested any of that out?
No, I've not done any off-roading yet other than driving on a gravel construction lot for 30 seconds because I was switching drivers on Sunday after delivery so Kylie or Mike could drive it. I think it's Mikey getting in. No, it's Kylie. And just the way that suspension handles and stuff, like I really have no concerns about how this thing will do off-road. D-locks are like 2, maybe 3 weeks out. This is coming really, really quick. So once D-locks are there, then I feel like that might really suppress a lot, but throw some tires on it and really get the experience of what any vehicle can do. Tires are very, very important, and I feel like a lot of people are misunderstanding that they're not really off-road people, and I'm not either, but I've been corrected by people that are off-road people that like, yeah, man, dude, tires will make a world of difference. So get those KO2s, go to town. D-locks will just make it even better. But yeah, can't wait for that to hit just so then everybody shuts up about it not having that feature enabled from delivery.
Sweet. We'll look forward to hearing your feedback about that.
Ken, and then David Katz.
Hey, everybody. First off, I'd like to congratulate everybody who recently got their Cybertrucks and will be getting their Cybertrucks. That's an awesome thing to do. I am unfortunately on the other side of that equation right now. I have received my Cybertruck order build email yesterday night, but I want to wait until the prices come down. So I'm not really interested in the Foundation series, but I've never heard anybody say, I don't want to cancel the order. I just want to delay it. But I don't see anything in the email saying, hey, if you don't want it, push this button and you're still in line, you can get the next series through. How do you tell Tesla that you're not interested in the Foundation series, but still want to be in line?
I'd say just leave it. I've not heard any official communication either of like what you do, but I think you just do nothing and they get the message and you're not out of line. They'll work through, and those of us that did configure are now out of that line, so the line starts back up after Foundation series is done. We really don't know how they'll handle it. Everybody thought it was gonna be 1,000 Foundation series. It's not. I didn't even expect a Foundation series like this, but here we are. So I would say just leave it, man, and kind of risk it for the biscuit there. But I also would not be surprised if they actually raise the price of the Cybertruck. What I bet may happen here is the Cybertruck Foundation series will run its course, and then they will actually up the price of all the Cybertrucks a little bit to then soak that demand up of, oh no, I'm gonna miss out, and then have people that go for that. And like, dude, there's no shortage of demand. Just because you do or do not qualify for the IRA, like whatever, Tesla can sell one sold for $250,000 today, an all-wheel drive Foundation Series Cybertruck for $250,000 on a dealer auction, man. Like this, these are the guys buying it to sell, so it will hypothetically should, and in theory, sell for even more than that. So like, there's no shortage. So if you do want a Cybertruck in the next 18 months, man, you might want to pony up the 20 bands and call it a day. Um, Otherwise, you might be spending a lot more than $20,000 or $27,500, depending on how you look at it, or more. But it's a foggy pasture right now,
Yeah,
man. Tough to say.
right. David Katz.
Congratulations. Just a quick comment. You mentioned that Toyota Taco. There's versions of that have $16,000 dealer markup on them now. I saw an invoice for $77,000 on a Toyota Tacoma. It's close to Cybertruck range without the foundation. And, buying from anyone that isn't Legacy Auto, at least you have a straightforward price. And congratulations.
Thank you, David. Thank you, Greg. Thank you, Ken. Going once, going twice. All right. Tomorrow, I'm looking forward to the NVIDIA discussion. Homework for everybody who wants to participate or listen. Go watch the last episode that got published on my YouTube channel. That would be episode 25. Yesterday, we had a really in-depth, comprehensive discussion, and Wes was invaluable in that discussion. We looked through lots of chip discussions and ideas and ups and downs and opportunities and threats for Nvidia, Microsoft, Amazon, Google. And tomorrow is going to be the showdown. between two bulls and two bears. Thank you very much, everybody, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.